welcome to Two Strike Noise, your weekly baseball history podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Jeff. Joining me, as always, from the Seattle area, greater Seattle metropolitan Tacoma area, is my co-host, Mark A. Johnston. Mark, welcome to the show, my friend.
Oh, man, it's good to be here, and I'm ready to rumble. Let's do some baseball history.
I am so excited for this show, Mark. We just got done interviewing our guest for today, and it was an absolute incredible experience. And talk about baseball history. We spoke to 1962 World Series MVP Ralph Terry, and I cannot wait to share this with our listeners, Mark.
This guy we've had some guys with some great stories, not taking anything away from them, but this guy tells some stories with some definite names that you are going to recognize.
Yeah. I mean, it was so good. We were fortunate enough that he stuck around, that we're going to have to make this into a two-parter because he had so many great stories and he's got such a great memory. After worrying, he was a little worried about his memory, and he is running down games from the 60s pitch by pitch for us. It is an absolutely incredible time.
He was amazing to chat with. He really was.
Yeah, so we will get to that. Like I said, Ralph Terry is coming up later in the show. But first, Mark, let us make sure that we're prepared, because we really do need to be stretched out and ready for this show today. So let's get into our BP segment. I don't know if you know this, Mark, but baseball season's over with.
I had a crying fit today when I finally realized it, yes.
Yeah, so the Japan playoffs are just getting ready to start in the NPB. Korean League is down to I think they're in their final series now. The Taiwanese League wrapped up last week. I have actually been watching a lot of stuff from Japan, but it is not baseball. I've been watching a lot of sumo the past month or so.
We're going to start a sumo show next?
Possibly. This could become a sumo show, but I saw something that was interesting because I started doing some research on the history of sumo as I was watching it and so forth. And the record for consecutive sumo wins is from a gentleman that went by the name of Futabayama. He won 69 consecutive sumo matches between 1936 and 1939. Wow. There's been two streaks of 63 wins, which the most recent was in 2010. And this really reminded me of Joe DiMaggio's hitting streak. And it got me to think, because I mean, this is just one of those things that's just once in a generation, somebody even comes close to this mark. And the number is not completely dissimilar either to Joe D's hitting streak. So it got me to thinking about streaks and records and which ones will actually never be broken. And you see a lot of stories about this where Cal Ripken's, games played and so on and so forth. It got me to thinking about some ones, and I wanted to run them past you as to whether you think they'll ever happen again. First one, Johnny Vandermeer, back-to-back no-hitters. Will this ever happen again?
It could, but it would have to be a really dominant pitcher in a really dominant time of his career. I truly doubt it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, and we kind of talk with this about this with Ralph Terry. You don't see many complete games, and guys are throwing a lot more pitches than they used to. I'm not sure if it's gonna be tough. You don't see that many no hitters, let alone back to back. I mean, that's kind of mind boggling, but it is doable. It is very doable compared to some of these other things. I want to know, do you think anybody will ever break Cy Young's record for losses? So of course, 315. So he holds the record for wins at 511, which is never going to probably be broken. But do you think anybody could ever stick around to lose 315 games? Which of those do you think is more doable, the win record or the losses?
Well, I don't think anybody's going to get to the win record unless, we
go to 6 inning games.
Bionics. Right? But losses, I mean, there are some guys in the Hall of Fame that have Nolan Ryan, I know off the top of my head, has 290 losses, 292, which isn't that far off. So that one, losses could happen, but 500 wins, I think that's way out of anybody's possibility zone.
All right. Next one is the aforementioned Nolan Ryan. Strikeouts, 5,714.
5,714.
You think anybody is going to reach that? you now know his PIN for all of his bank accounts, by the way.
Exactly. I just don't see it. Nolan Ryan's a 1 in a million pitcher, and to have the longevity with the velocity he had, that would be a tough one. I think 57-14 is going to stay there for a good long while.
Okay. How about this one? I think this one could be broken. Fernando Tatis hitting 2 grand slams in the same inning.
Yeah. It could be done again, sure, but
do you think someone will hit 3? Do you think? I mean, to break that, you've got to hit 3 grand slams in one inning.
I was thinking more of a tie. I can't see batting around. Although you never know. I mean, I've seen some bad baseball teams. I played on a few.
I could see it happening. I really could. I mean, it might never happen for the next 300 years, but it's something that could happen, especially, with the lack of quality pitching that we see in the big leagues now. If you're in a blowout and you've got a position player in there throwing, who's to say that you don't come up 3 times with the bases loaded in the same inning? I don't know.
Yeah.
Thought it was kind of interesting to think of some of these records and which ones could and couldn't be broken.
Sure. Yeah. How about DiMaggio's hit streak?
I think that'll be broken. Yeah. I don't know if it'll be broken in our
lifetime. I think a special hitter, but I think it can be done. It would take a very special hitter, though.
I think it's more likely to be broken than, say, Ripken's consecutive games played. I do.
Sure.
Cy Young Awards were announced last week.
Yes.
And Trevor Bauer was named the 2020 Cy Young Award winner for the National League. This was interesting because he was on the Reds last year. This is the first time a member of the Reds has ever won a Cy Young Award, which is amazing.
The Reds have been around a long time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, of course, the Cy Young Award has not been around as long as as we mentioned, the Red Legs have. But they never won that award until this year. So that was finally the mark falls for Cincinnati. I guess the next one is the Mariners making the playoffs. That's
all that's left, man.
I do hate to bring it up, but we do need to get into a kangaroo court session here.
All right.
Now, this is nothing that a listener brought to us. This was me catching this. So I just want to make it clear out there that we caught this and that our listeners have somehow fumbled the ball here and not called us on this one. A couple shows ago, show 84, the answer to the trivia question was correct-ish. I needed to word the question differently. The question was, who was the last switch hitter to win an MVP award? And the answer that I gave was Vida Blue. I don't believe that I specified the last American League switch hitter to win an MVP award, because Jimmy Rollins did it for the Phillies in 2007. Now, if that was the only thing I had to say, that wouldn't be that bad. But then, Chipper Jones won it in 99. Ken Caminiti won it in 96. Terry Pendleton won it in 91. Willie McGee won it in 85. And Pete Rose won it in 73. So
we missed just a little, maybe a couple got past us.
Only 6 players in the National League had done it.
That's embarrassing.
Yeah, that is. But again, I want to mention that nobody corrected us. This is us proactively doing it. So I think that gives us a little bit of leeway next time we say something stupid.
I think so.
As many people noticed, and I'm not joking, many people noticed that we did not have a trivia question last week. And that is on me. I worded the question incorrectly, and when I gave it to Mark, he came up with 2 or 3 answers that completely broke my trivia question, and so we just went ahead and snipped that. That ended up on the editing room floor because we do use a reel-to-reel to record this. And we just did not have a trivia question last week, and we apologize. We will make it up, though, with a great trivia question this week. So I mentioned Cy Young Awards were given out last week. So were the Manager of the Year Awards, and it was a state of Florida sweep in that category. Don Mattingly for the Marlins, Kevin Cash for the Rays, both won the National League and American League Managers of the Year, respectively. So we're going to go back to the well, to one of our favorite type of questions. I want to know who has the most hits combined while playing for both the Marlins and the Rays. So this is similar to our Yankees Mets, who had the most hits while a member of the Yankees and the Mets. You don't have to have played exclusively just for the Marlins and the Rays, but for guys that had played for both the Marlins and Rays at some point in their career, who holds the record for most hits while on those two teams?
That is a very tough question. I don't even have a lead here. This
isn't Yankees, going back to the early 1900s, so you don't have that many guys to choose from. But sure. I still think you're going to have to do quite a bit of digging to come up with the answer here.
Yeah, nothing's on top of my head except my massive head of hair.
So there you go. Most hits combined while playing for the Marlins and the Rays. We will give you the answer to that question next week. Mark, let us now get ready to listen to the first part of our interview with our guest this week. And just to run down a couple of feats for our guest. He's a two-time All-Star. He won as an active player 2 World Series. He was on 3 World Series teams, and he was a World Series MVP in 1962. We have talked about the 1960 World Series. I think we've had 3 different shows where we dedicated a major segment to that World Series.
Yeah.
Ralph Terry was the last player to touch that ball that Bill Mazeroski hit in Game 7 that made Mickey Mantle cry. And then we talked about the kid that picked up the ball and what happened to it just recently. We have talked about Bing Crosby.
Mm-hmm.
We have talked about Vern Law with Vern Law's son. Vern Law pitched in that game. We've talked with Tom Sturdivant's grandson, who was traded for Ralph Terry at one point, as well as was a teammate of his in New York. We've got a whole bunch of ties to Ralph Terry, and now we're going to talk to him about some of his time in baseball. So, Mark, let's just get right into it here with our special guest, World Series MVP from 1962, Mr. Ralph Terry.
Let's do it.
We're just going to start in 1960 and just get that out of the way.
Sure.
Because it was an incredible story, an incredible series. Probably not the highlight of your career, but to be involved in such an incredible game.
Mm-hmm.
What do you remember most about the 1960 World Series and I guess in particular Game 7?
Oh, well, I don't know. We all the games we won were blowouts, and we lost some close games. I lost the 4th game at 3-2, and I came back in relief in the 7th game, and it was that was a wild game. It went back and forth. They said that was a game where nobody struck out in the entire game.
Yep.
Which is
that's true. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, it was a wild ending there when Maz hit the home run. The fans went crazy.
Yeah, that was. We literally have. I mean, we've talked about that game several times. I actually just did a story the other couple of weeks ago about what happened to that ball that Maz hit. It went over the wall, and a kid that was walking home from school just happened to be there and collected it and took it in to Bill Mazeroski, and he told the kid to keep it and signed it for him. And then he went and played stickball with it and lost it.
Yeah, I heard that story. Yeah, that ball would have been worth a lot of money.
That would have been an interesting ball to have. 1960 happens, but you had such a redemption in 1962. Especially, I mean, you had an incredible season throughout the whole year, but then what a World Series it was against the San Francisco Giants. Let's just talk about Game 7 and what could be one of the greatest pitching performances, especially in a World Series. And you had it. Game 7, you throw a 1-0 complete game 4-hitter to win the World Series in San Francisco.
Yeah. Oh, well, I started the game, and it was I was thankful to get a second opportunity to pitch in the 7th game. You know, having lost one in Pittsburgh. Well, there was a rain out, a couple of days rained out in there, and it just so happened I was able to pitch the 3rd game and against Jack Sanford, their ace that year. I faced him all 3 games. He won the first game 2-0, and then I won the 5th game, I think 5-2 or 3.
Yep.
Yeah, and then last game 1-0. But I only threw a half a dozen pitches warming up. I was ready to go. Yeah, that's amazing. But it wasn't the winning or losing and so forth. It was the money. You know, the players. We really needed the money in those days. I think the winner share was about 12,000, and the losers was maybe 8,000 or something. But anyway, I retired the first 17 batters in a row, and that's the most consecutive batters retired in a row in the 7th game of a World Series.
Wow.
Larson pitched a perfect game, but that was in the 5th game or 4th game or somewhere in the 3rd, in the Dodger series. Then there was 2 out in the 6th, and Sanford got a single over second. Elston Howard, the catcher, called for a curveball, and I shook him off through a fastball, and I hit him on the handle, and he blooped it over second for a hit. That's the only time I shook off Elston Howard in the entire game. And my control was really good that game. I only had 1 3-ball count on a hitter in the entire game, and that was Jim Davenport in the middle of the game. I had him struck out on a 2-2 fastball, belt high, and the umpire called it ball 3. And that was the only 3-ball count I had on any hitter. So I managed to stay ahead of the hitters. And the wind was blowing hard across from left field to right field in Candlestick Park. It was tough. The balls in the air were really, really tough. Our fielders made a great play on the fly balls and pop-ups. Anyway, those are just a few things there.
Well, if I may walk you through the bottom of the 9th inning. So you are still on the mound, going to the bottom of the 9th inning with a 1-0 lead. Matty Alou leads off with a kind of a drag bunt, which I contend he was out of the batter's box when he struck it, but he still managed to sneak it past you and get on for a leadoff single. Then Philippe Alou, his brother, pinch hits and you strike him out. Then Chuck Hiller comes up and you strike him out. And then Willie Mays comes up and doubles down the right field line. Alou gets to third, and Maris made a good play in the corner there to cut it off so it didn't get to the wall, which held Alou at third. And then Willie McCovey comes up, who had tripled off you in his last at-bat, and he had homered off you in game 2. So you've got the tying run at third and the World Series winning run on second. First base is open, and Orlando Cepeda is behind McCovey on deck. Ralph Houck comes out to talk to you. Do you remember what that conversation was about on the mound?
Well, Houck came out to the mound, and the infielders came over. Houck and Nelson Howard was there, and it was funny. Houck said, he said, I don't know what the hell I'm doing out here, you know. It was funny, you know. He said, how do you feel? I said, I feel fine. And he said, Elson, how's his stuff? I said, good. Yeah, he's got good stuff. He said, I'm thinking about how would you rather put McCovey on, load the bases, and pitch to Cepeda, a right-hand hitter. And mentally, Cepeda had gotten 3 hits the day before and had really at that time was probably had a higher reputation. They were both, they had a great lineup. So I said, well, they got in the World Series by beating the Dodgers in a playoff, and Stan Williams had to walk somebody the bases loaded in a situation similar, and he ended up walking the next guy. Walked him and walked in I think the lead run. So I said, well, I would, I said, if I walk him and load the bases, we're in a National League ballpark in the 7th game. It's a National League umpire. There's a lot of pressure on the umpire, and anything close, I probably won't get the call. So with the bases loaded, and the umpire in that game, he did a great job, really. So I said, let me pitch around him here, but give him some good pitches, off the plate, inside, outside, and then if I ball behind him, then we'll put him on and work on Cepeda. Okay, that's the deal, And it was funny, Richardson was and Kubek were talking at second base, and Willie Mays on second. Kubek was kidding Bobby Richardson, I hope he doesn't hit it to you. You've already made a couple of errors in the series, and the Mays was laughing, they were laughing. and Clete Boyer says the only time he's really been nervous in his life playing third base, He was really happy when he pitched to McCovey because chances are he wouldn't get a ball hit to him. And he's probably the greatest third baseman you ever saw, Matty Alou led off with a bunt. Just before that, he had a pop foul right in front of the first base Giants dugout. There's a walk-in dugout, and Elson Howard is camped under. He's got 1 foot on the first step, and 2 of the Giants hit him, bumped into him, and knocked the ball out of his glove.
Oh boy!
And I thought they were going to get in a fight over there, And they said, "Oh, we were trying to catch you from falling in the duck." So anyway, so the next pitch he lays down a beautiful drag bunt. I mean, I usually got off my mound pretty good first base side. I couldn't quite get it, and he's safe. And here we go. So then Felipe Alou comes up. He tries to bunt a couple of times and ends up fouling him off, and then he strikes out. And Chuck Hiller comes up and he tries to bunt a couple of times and even with the man out, but he fouls it off. Fouled one that was close, it trickle foul, and then struck him out. And then now comes up Willie, and he hits a shot. He had a real good pitch. First 2 pitches high and inside, and then I went low and outside on him, and he opened up, looking inside, but then he threw his bat at the ball and hit a shot to right field. And Maris made a great pickup and throw, and it was basically a long single. But he was running over to the left, and the field was wet, and had a lot of rains, and he threw back, and it was basically a long single. Mays got a double, but he hit Bobby in a relay was home. They were excellent on that. It was a great play Maris made. So now I got runners on second, third, and here we go. But there's an interesting point. There's you know what a golden pitch is?
A golden pitch? I don't believe I've heard that before.
Well, a golden pitch is where the 7th game of the World Series can be won or lost on the outcome of that one pitch.
Got it.
And there was about a dozen pitches I threw more than anybody in history. Christian Matheson and a lot of great pitchers. And so anyway, when they had one out and a man on, the guy, and it wasn't nothing, the guy could have hit a home run and beat him as 2-1, or he could have hit into a double play, and it's all over and we win. And several pitches to him, and then several pitches to Hiller, and then to Mays. Anyway, McCovey comes up. The first pitch I threw him was a changeup, but it was really an all-speed pitch. I was really trying to kind of bounce it up there, but I went in there kind of high and outside, and he was letting it. Then he kind of wristed it out and hit a pop fly to right field, straight away right. And I said, "Oh boy, it's all over." Marison's moving in, but the wind blowing hard left to right, and the wind took it and blew it over just across the foul line in the dugout, and then the bullpen where the guys were warming up. Years later, they said, "Oh, he hit this drive. It was just barely foul." But he did. Anyway, so the next pitch, I tried to come inside with a fastball. He was a low ball hitter and liked the ball out over the plate, and place to pitch him, I thought was belt up inside, crowd him, and I didn't get it in quite far enough. And he opened up, did a great job of hitting. He opened up and hit it, and he used his hands to get at it, and he hit it sharp, but he had a lot of top spin on it. And Richardson was playing him over in the hole more than usual, and I thought about moving him, but I'd played with Bobby all through the minor leagues and several years in the majors, and I'd made that mistake before, moving him around, and no sooner got hit it right through where he was playing. You don't move around the 7-time All-Star,
He's got some ideas of where to be.
Yeah, so he played him over real deep, and over right. It's like they shade a lot of hitters nowadays. And he hit it right at him. And the ball was hit hard, and it went by me. It was shoulder high. I said, "I got a man over there somewhere. Whap was right at him."
Yeah, so when that went past you, you knew he was there. There were no flashbacks to 2 years prior.
Well,
you're like, I got a guy there.
I knew I was somebody over there, And fortunately, I was right at him. So that was it. And then, DiMaggio was at the game. He says the greatest seventh game he ever saw pitched. It was really a tribute. He lived out there. He was really happy. He said,
"Nice."
Ralph, after the game, he said, "Ralph, sign your contract as soon as you can." Del Webb, the owner, he lived out there. Had his from out there, and he said, "Webb's so happy, he'll give you anything you want."
You got a good raise. Yeah, you got a good raise, didn't you, after that?
Well, it wasn't that great. The first guy I signed was Yogi. Yogi signed. He got a good contract anyway. So anyway, that was it. And
the redemption for 2 years, in 60 and then in 62, you got carried off the field on your teammate's shoulders. I think that's so awesome. It was, I love watching that video of just the separation, and that's so great.
I was curious, Mr. Terry, you were given a convertible Corvette from Sport Magazine because you were the 62 World Series MVP. You're not still driving that around, are you?
No, I kept it for several years, and I traded it in. It was one of the best cars I ever had. They made it, they presented it to me at the auto show in Kansas City, where I used to work in the off season for a Chevrolet dealer. He had a presentation made there, and they'd been dealers since 1923, one of the original General Motors Chevrolet dealership. And they built one. They built a Stingray, the very first 63 Stingray. They built the next year's model, and it had 300 horsepower, 4-speed shift on the floor, and it was a very special made. So it had a metallic silver paint job and 300 horsepower. Normally they had 260 horsepower with 3 speeds and automatic transmission. But this thing would run I could do 130 mile an hour in it. And it was unbelievable for a car like that.
Wow.
And,
Wow. That is awesome.
So I kept it for several years, and it was the best car I ever had. And then I had a couple of boys, my kids. I needed a bigger family car, and I traded in on a Cadillac. And it was a Lincoln. It was a Lemon. It was a bad car. Yeah. So anyway, that's the story on the.
There's a great picture I saw of you after you got that car. You're kind of hanging out with holding the baseball and a big smile on your face. It's a great looking car. And
that wasn't it. That was another car. That was when they made a quick presentation in New York. It wasn't the one they really built for me. And they only built a handful of those like that. The original Stingray.
Did you did you get to ride in that car down the Canyon of Champions during the parade, or were you on something else?
No, they didn't. You mean at the seventh game?
Yeah. Did they have a ticker tape parade in New York in downtown for you?
No, they didn't. The Yankees had won so many that they stopped giving those parades.
That's too bad.
but I made the rounds. They New York treat me pretty good. So
no doubt.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Terry, I want to go back a little bit further. 1956. Okay, you're a rookie, 20 years old. And the Yankees go to the series that year. Don Larson just happens to do something pretty impressive and throw a perfect game.
Right.
I saw an interview with Mickey Mantle talking about that, and he said, during a no-hitter and a perfect game, we've talked about superstitions on the show and how you just don't mention it. And he said, if I remember right, he said Don Larson's nickname was Goonie, and he wouldn't shut up about how he was pitching a perfect game. Is that a pretty accurate story?
That's there's a superstition. When you get in the late innings, guy's got a no hitter going, you don't talk about it. And
right.
Goonie Bird, he was talking about it. Anyway, that was I came up in '56 at the age of 20, and from Denver. I was 11-2 there in AAA in the American Association, and they started me in Boston. They lost 6 games in a row, a losing streak there in August, and Boston had won 6 in a row. Stengel was going to start me in Detroit on Saturday before that, and we were in the clubhouse. The phone rings, and Stengel had his desk in there in the locker room with everybody else. And there was George Weiss, the general manager. And Weiss said, "Who are you pitching?" And he says, "Terry, rookie." And he said, No, you got to switch to Bob Turley. Bullet Bob Turley. And he said, "Who's running this ball club, me or you?" And that's what you were talking to. And Weiss said, No, it's game of the week. Saturday was a big deal, Dizzy Dean and so forth. And we got to put a big name out there. Nobody's heard us. Bullet Bob Turley. So anyway, Turley gets beat, and then we lose. Whitey loses Sunday. We go to Boston, 6 in a row. And Casey started me against Brewer. Their ace was 15-3. I beat him, I think, 4-3, and Boston broke the losing streak. And I was the youngest pitcher the Yankees ever started in Fenway Park. So then broke the losing streak, and they kept me around for about a month, and then they activated Enos Slaughter and took me off the roster. I didn't play in the World Series. But for winning that one game, I got a fourth of the share of the World Series, $2,400. Imagine that.
Wow.
That would be $250,000.
Imagine so.
So I bought an old used Ford, a new shotgun, and it put me through college that winter.
Nice.
On that 2,400, and Yankees never gave me a World Series ring. Like you had, they only gave 25. And I tried to get one in later years, because everybody gets one. And I broke the losing streak. And the players voted me for their share, but the Yankees couldn't afford it. So I don't have a ring. I don't have a ring, and I'm not happy about that.
Did you get a ring from 61 or 62, or you just never got one?
Oh yeah, I got those. I played on 7 pennant winners, 3 world champions. Anyway, the next year, 57, they traded Billy Martin to Kansas City, and I was a young pitcher. I got thrown in the deal, and
right.
So I went to Kansas City for 2 years, and then they traded me back. I pitched a couple of good games against the Yankees, and then anyway, Casey said, "I got rid of you, kid, and I got you back."
That's great.
He was a great manager.
Yeah. What you got to have some good Casey Stengel stories.
Oh, Casey was a great storyteller. I'll tell you one that Baltimore had a big pitcher. I forget his name. Had a big slow curve, and Mickey used to strike out, and he'd come in and he'd throw the bat in the rack and throw his helmet down and kick the water cooler, and he was really mad when he struck out, and Billy Martin, they were close buddies. He'd imitate him, didn't he realize he'd throw his bat, throw his helmet, kick, and cuss, and so Casey had a special meeting. He said, "All right, you guys are getting where it ain't safe in that dugout when you strike out." He said, "You gotta learn to take it, bite your lip." He said, "Better yet, laugh it off." So we're playing this Baltimore, this big right-hander get this curveball, and Mickey strikes out, chases one in the dirt, comes in, puts his helmet in the rack, puts his bat in the rack, goes over, has a sip of water, sits down on the bench, and doesn't say a word. Billy strikes out, comes in, puts his bat in the rack, puts his helmet in the rack, goes in, has a sip of water, sits down, doesn't say a word. So next time up, he strikes him out again, and they didn't say a word. And then finally, they laid down on the dugout floor. Let's start laughing, grabbing their ribs and rolling the floor. Ha ha ha! You got me again on that slow curve. Struck me out. Casey said, "All right, knock it off."
That's fantastic.
But Casey loved Billy Martin. When they got traded together, it was a Saturday night, and I had to pitch all batting practice. The trade deadline was June the 15th, and I said, "I know I've been traded." So after the game, he calls me in. We made a little trade. I said, "Where am I going?" Where you going? There had been rumors that Hector Lopez and I were going to Boston or the Giants, and he said, "You're going to New York, the Yankees." I was all right, and I said, "Who's involved?" And he named Lumpy, Sturdivant, Cox, your guys are traded for us. I said, "Seems like you gave up a heck of a lot more than you got." He said, "Yeah." He said, "I didn't make this trade. Weiss made this trade." He said, "That Martin, he's one hell of a player." So anyway, I left. Well, Casey, I'm going to be out to beat you. First game I pitched against him in New York, about a week later, I walked Mickey on a 3-2 pitch. The curveball was a strike, and that was a good pitch. Umpire called it a ball 4. He was batting third. That's the only base runner they had until 2 men out in the 8th inning.
Wow.
And I ran out of gas, and Suitcase Simpson was the guy who traded, got a double and beat me 1-0. But anyway, next time I faced him in July, I shut out Bob Turley 1-0 the Rays in Kansas City, and the Yankees only got shut out 2 times in the entire year that year, and
wow.
It's quite a lineup. Anyway, we had some battles. So Casey said, I got rid of you and I got you back.
Did you ever go out on any of those wild nights with Mickey Mantle and Billy Martin and that gang out on the town in New York?
No, I was a little too young for that. I didn't. Well, I've been out with Mickey was good. We grew up in the same neighboring towns in high school. He was a senior out in the 8th grade. And my brother played against him, and I played against his brothers. And so I knew him. I saw him play in high school. And never saw him play baseball, but I saw him play basketball and football. And he was a hell of a football player. He was fast, a halfback. I mean, we was right by and get in the secondary, and it was like everybody was standing still. But we'd go out to, he'd take me out to dinner. He had a suite in Manhattan, and I'd spend many nights with him. And we'd go to dinner and all the places, and he never picked up a tab. They never charged him anything. But,
oh, wow. No kidding.
Toots Shore, Danny's Hideaway, all the great places. And he always left World Series ticket box seats for him, for Toots and Danny. And when he was a special guy, a great teammate. And we played a lot of golf together.
I heard that he was super fast, before he got in, his knees obviously took a beating, but yeah, everything I heard was that he was always, before he got injured, one of the fastest guys and just an all around incredible player.
Yeah. Well, he was still fast on one leg. He could run. But he could have led the league in stolen bases, but they never, the only time he'd steal was if it was a tie game or one run game, so he was special. He was one of the truly great players of all time. I remember he was recruited by Oklahoma University as a football player, as a runner. And Darrell Royal was an All-American there before he later became a coach. And he showed Mickey around the campus, one day. And years later, we were playing in a golf tournament with Darrell in Austin, Texas. And Mickey said, well, Darrell, you remember that time when Bud Wilkinson had you show me around the campus there at Norman? And he said, no, he didn't remember. He said, well, yeah, but you weren't Mickey Mantle then.
Can I ask you, I want to ask you about a player in particular, Rocky Calavito. He had his numbers against you. He went 26 for 82, which is a 317 average and 13 home runs. Mm-hmm. You became a teammate with him, though, in 1965 in Cleveland. Did you ever just say to him, hey, man, what did I ever do to you? Why? You must have.
A lot of times we had big leads. Well, one time he beat me it was a 2-1 game. He had 2 solo home runs and beat me in Cleveland. And he was a tough hitter, boy. I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. And he was a great player. He was a great guy. Rocky. But a lot of games, I gave home runs. We scored a lot of runs, and don't walk anybody.
No doubt.
He was a great hitter. He crowded the plate, and Rocky was, he was a great player and a great teammate.
All right, so we will have the second part of that interview next week, where we've just got some more great stories about his time, batters he's faced, some great stories from some of those great Yankee teammates that he had, as well as some other players of just names that we've only heard about, in highlight films and record books. And we get to hear some stories from Mr. Terry of him talking to them and facing them and helping them, or just, this was, Mark, you and I were on a high as soon as we got off the phone with him today.
Yeah, for a couple guys who love baseball history, chatting with Mr. Terry was just an amazing time. It really was. You're going to enjoy this interview.
And also, don't forget, we will put in the show notes where you can pick up his book right down the middle. And I'm just excited for everybody to get to hear more of this. All right, so Mark, we did not have any baseball cards from the 1960s that we could play an episode of Wax Packs Hero with Mr.
They
Terry.
were a little out of the show's budget.
No,
to get the 1960s.
It
packs.
is funny though. I do have a complete team set of the 1962 Giants top set that I collected individually, which was, it was expensive back in the mid 90s when I did it, but now is worth quite a bit more. But that's Willie Mays, Gaylord Perry rookie card. McCovey's obviously there. Orlando Cepeda. It's a great team. Yeah, we're not going to use that.
Absolutely.
So, Mark, it's just going to be you and me, and we're going to play another episode of Wax Packs Hero. You're on a bit of a hot streak here, Mark. You've won the last 3 contests in a row. Very disappointing to me. We are going to today, we're going to open a couple of packs of 86 Donruss, and we could set some records here. There are some very valuable cards here when we are looking at our May 1992 Beckett's. There is the kind of the granddaddy of them all is the Jose Canseco rookie card, which is at this point was valued at $55. There's also a Fred McGriff rookie card that's $14. Roger Clemens is clocking in at $6.50, and we've got a bunch of other cards that are worth over $1. So we are looking at some potential high value cards here.
Possible barn burner.
Possible. We could be, if one of these packs happens to hold 2 Jose Canseco rookie cards, we could break the $100 barrier. I'm not counting on it, but we could. All right, I got 2 of them here, Mark. I've got left hand and I got right hand. Which one would you like?
I'm going to go right hand this time.
Right hand. All right. Well, I'm going to steal that right away from you, and I'm taking that pack because I told you I wasn't going to do it till I really got in the hole, and I'm really in the hole. You're up 6-3. I've got your pack here. Do you want to, because I stole your pack because I'm the commissioner, do you want to go first or you want to be the home team?
I'd like to go first. I like going first.
All right. So before we open this pack, let's go over the rules really quick. We are going to, as I said, use a May 1992 Beckett. We're going to be using those prices to price this out. A couple of extra rules. If you are sporting a mustache, we're going to give you an extra cent. If you're sporting a really sexy mustache, we're going to give you 2 cents because the ladies love sexy mustaches. Real stirrups, if we can see them, you're going to get an extra cent. If you're sporting the 2-in-1s, which I would be willing to bet we're not going to see in these 86 cards, we're going to minus a cent. If you are wearing a sweatband that has your caricature or your jersey number on it, that is pimping, and we are going to give you an extra cent for that. If you are wearing glasses of any sort, we're going to give you a cent for that as well. If you are wearing high tops, which I don't think we're going to see in this pack, although Bill Buckner wore high tops in 86, so I'm just going to throw it out there. We're going to minus a cent because that's not a good look. If you are wearing high tops and wearing 2-in-1s, we're going to minus 2 cents because that's a crime against humanity. And I think those are all our rules, so let's get right into it. All right. We have got included in this is a Hank Aaron puzzle piece. So if you're collecting those, this is piece 7, 8, and 9.
I already have that one.
All right, let's get right into it. Here, we're going to start with a Yankee. He's a pitcher. Sounds like our guest, Ralph Terry, but no, this is a little bit less known pitcher. It is Brian Fisher.
Brian Fisher. Wow, I don't have any memory of him.
I do not either, and this is a rookie card, but there is no value in Beckett's, which is rare when it's a rookie card. Let's see. Brian Fisher ended up pitching 7 years in the big leagues. He bounced around for 4 teams. He was a Mariner, apparently, in 1992. He went 4-3. Huh. Yeah, I don't remember that at all. But no extra value there. So that's a big nothing. Here we've got a rated rookie card, and this guy had a pretty good career. It's John Haben, pitcher for the Orioles. At least I think he did. Sure. That name sounds familiar to me.
Yeah, me too. I couldn't give you on-the-spot statistics, but yes.
I guess it's Habian, not Habe.
Okay.
Dyslexic today, apparently. Yeah, he pitched for 11 years in the big leagues. Ended up mostly being a reliever. Yeah, if I can stick around for 11 years in the big leagues, I would take that. This is his rookie card. It's a rated rookie card. That does not equate to anything in Beckett, though, and there is no value there. So far, you're striking out. You've got a second rated rookie card, and I believe we've pulled this guy before. Because that tells me that I think he stuck around for a little bit. It is Johnny Abrego.
This is an interesting wax pack hero because did things change really that much from 85 to 86 to 87? Because I'm drawing blanks on these guys. This is weird.
Well, maybe he did. Well, okay, I say that, but he pitched for 1 year. He only appeared in 6 games, so I
won't blame myself.
I guess we have not pulled him, unless the last time we did 86, Donruss. He did not have a great season. 24 innings pitched, 32 hits, 18 runs, walked 12, and struck out 13. So that's a whip of 1.8 for a starter. That's not going to keep you around. Let's see. I'm going to guess that doesn't have any value. It does not in Beckett, but he is sporting a mustache, and he's got real stirrups. So you're on the board with 2 cents. So
yes.
You can't hate that.
Score 2 for Johnny Washington.
All right, this guy we've heard of, Ben Ogilvy, outfielder for the Milwaukee Brewers.
Sure, Ogilvy, pretty good ball player. If I remember, he was pretty quick and he had a little bit of pop, or I could be 100% wrong.
So Ben Ogilvy had 87 career stolen bases. He had double digits a couple of times. He led the league, the American League, in 1980 with 41 home runs.
Wow.
That's not bad. 235 home runs in a 16-year career. But no value in Beckett, and there is nothing going on there that's going to get you any extra points. You're threatening to end up with 2 cents for this entire pack. So.
It's a little rough right now, but I have a feeling things are going to pick up.
All right, next we've got a catcher for the San Francisco Giants. He has managed. He has been a broadcaster. I think he might still even be with the Cubs on radio or TV. I'm not sure. Bob Brenly.
Yeah. Brenly was a fixture for the Giants for a good while.
Bob Brenly. Where else did he? I think he was. Didn't he play for the Angels at some point? Nope, he did not. He played for Toronto. Is the only other team he played for, and in only 48 games. I don't know why I thought he was in California, but he ended up playing 9 years, 9 total with San Francisco, and just that partial year in Toronto, and then he was traded back to San Francisco. Card is not worth anything in Beckett's, and nothing. So I was excited for these packs, but what happened is this is actually my pack. But I remember I traded.
What happened.
All right, next we've got pitcher for the Twins. It is Pete Filson.
Pete Filson for the Twins.
I'm going to say this is a great looking card. He has got that. What's that? And I use the word comedian very loosely. That's got the ventriloquist. He does the dummies, and he's got Jeff Dunham. He's got that old man puppet.
Yeah.
You know what that face looks like? He is making this face. He is about to release the ball, and he is making this face. 100%. I will post it on Twitter.
He looks like Walter.
Okay, that's his name. He's got real stirrups on this. So you're going to get 1 cent there. This will make you happy. Outfielder for the Astros, Kevin Striped Bass.
You gotta love Kevin Bass. One of my favorites of all time. Yeah, he's not going to be worth any money, but he is, he may not be anything in Beckett, but he is number 1 in my heart.
Well, he's going to get 1 cent because he always had that sweet mustache.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. It's kind of, these are not, they really need to work on their exposure settings on these cards. I can't, I would think he would have a 2 center, but I can't tell. It's too dark. I know there's one there. Now I'm a little disappointed that I switched packs now. This next card is a Hall of Famer.
Nice.
This next card is in 1986. He's an outfielder for the New York Yankees. He's got a mustache. Any guesses?
Is it Ricky?
Yeah, it could have been Dave Winfield, but it is Ricky Henley Lee Henderson. I traded him away.
Yeah. And I remember him playing for the Yankees. I didn't like that.
I didn't hate it. I had a Yankee hat at that point. As soon as he was traded, I had a Yankee hat.
Oh, nice. I
am going to hate it here, though, because Beckett has this card listed at $1.25. He is a Hall of Famer, and he's got a mustache. So that card is worth $1.31, which brings your total to $135.
Like I said, a late bloomer does eventually bloom.
That's. I'm gonna just take that card and put that aside, though. Dang. All right, we pulled this guy last week. First baseman for the Atlanta Braves, Gerald Perry.
Gerald Perry was a good ball player, good hitter. Actually played some pretty decent defense, if I remember.
Yeah, we went over his stuff last week. No value in Beckett and no extra value there. We can just cruise through the rest of these. I think you already have this wrapped up with my favorite player of all time.
Maybe you get that Jose Canseco.
Next is pitcher for the Oakland A's, Chris Cotteroli.
I remember Chris Cotteroli with Tacoma. I wasn't working there then, but I was. We had season tickets. I recall Chris Cotteroli quite well.
Yeah, I don't remember Chris Cotteroli at all. He pitched for 8 years in the big leagues, though. Most of it with Oakland. 6 years in Oakland.
Forever.
Yeah, wow. He went 12-12 in 83 and 14-14 in 85.
Wow, the ultimate 500 pitcher.
Yeah, he led the league in starts in 1985 with 37. But
wow.
That's really about it. I do not know him. He was a first round draft pick by the Tigers in 78. Nothing much there. Nothing in Beckett. Boy, they have really got to work on that. I think I see a blonde mustache. It's really hard to tell with these. Whoever took these pictures was not really working hard. Next catcher for the Twins, it's Tim Laudner. Went on to have a pretty good career.
Yep. He was a catcher right before Brian Harper.
Tim Laudner spent his entire career in Minnesota, actually.
Yeah, and Harper was his backup for a while, eventually won the starting job.
Laudner's a local guy. He went to high school in Minnesota.
Oh, wow.
Was eventually drafted by the Twins in the third round in 79. So that must have been cool to play at home. No value, though, from Beckett and nothing extra. Next, we have got, I think this guy was in the wax pack of 86 tops. But here it is, Tim Corcoran. I couldn't say his name when we talked about him, and I can't say his name now.
Yeah, you got me lost on that one, too.
Corcoran? I'm going to just... Any good that we did for our kangaroo court for proactively finding a mistake is probably just gone now. No value, though, in Beckett, and I think he's got a mustache. I'll give you a mustache. Again, really hard to see.
All right,
next.
I appreciate that.
Pitcher for the Red Sox, it is Mark Clear.
Mark Clear. Man, I'm again at a loss.
I seem to remember him just because I think he, obviously he was on the 86 Red Sox. Let's see, did he appear in the postseason that year? Oh, he didn't. No, he was on the Angels in 79 and went to the playoffs, but I guess he did not make that. Oh, he was traded since this. In 85 to 86, he was traded for Ed Romero to the Brewers. There you go. No value from Beckett, but he's got real stirrups and he's got a sweet mustache. So that's 2 cents. So you're up to $1.39 now. Second to last card, we've talked about him a couple of times. Brian Downing for the Angels.
Brian 10 Downing Street, yes. He used to hit leadoff for them.
I was just going to say, yeah. He was not your prototypical leadoff hitter at this point in time.
He got on base all the time, though, so that's why they used him there.
And this is a great card because he has got some pythons coming out of those sleeves.
Nice.
It's a good looking card. He is flexing those muscles and he's wearing those glasses. So you're going to get 1 cent because of that.
Nice.
I'm not sure that you're going to get any value from the card. Yeah, no value from the card, but you're going to get 1 cent for the glasses. 20 years he was in the big leagues.
Wow.
That's pretty impressive. He only led the league in one category one time. He led the league in walks in 1987 when he was batting leadoff. So there you go.
There you go.
Wow. On base percentage for 1987, 400. That's getting the job done.
He had a great eye.
370 lifetime on base.
Wow.
Not bad at all. But only 1 cent there. That'll bring you up to 140 though, which is a very, very, very good score. And your final card is somebody that I am not familiar with. Tommy Dunbar, outfielder for the Rangers.
Tommy Dunbar. No, you got me on that one too.
Let's take a quick peek here at old Tommy Dunbar. I'm not even able to pull him up in Baseball Reference. No value there. Well, I'm going to give you a mustache. I really can't tell. These cards are very disappointing with their exposure settings. But that will wrap up your pack. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little bit scared. $1.41, and you pulled a Ricky Henderson card.
Yeah, I think that was supposed to be your pack.
It was. My lawyers will be contacting you soon. So let's go ahead and... Again. Yeah, let's go ahead. We'll open up my pack. Another puzzle piece, 58, 59, and 60. All right, we're going to start off with a pitcher for the San Diego Padres. I know we pitched for the Yankees at one point as well. Tim Stoddard.
Tim Stoddard. Yeah, I remember Tim Stoddard.
I do as well. He was probably around for a good amount of time. Let's see, he played 14 or 15 years. One off. 13 years in the big leagues, mostly with Baltimore. That was long before I was watching baseball, though, in the late 70s. Yeah. But let's see. I always like to look at these guys and see who they've been traded for. And that's always interesting. Traded for Wayne Gross, who I know that name is an A's fan, and he was also traded for Ed Whitson.
Sure.
But no value in there from Beckett. Definitely he's got real stirrups. I think, I can see a mustache too. So that's going to get me 2 cents. I'm on the board. I'm ahead of your pace. I just don't know if I am.
That's right.
All right, next we've got a guy. This guy was definitely in the Wax Pack 86 pack. It's Steve Yeager, catcher for the Dodgers.
And didn't he set a world record for speed? No, that's a different Yeager. Never mind.
No, but Steve was one of those last guys that wore instead of wearing a helmet under his catcher's gear, he just wore a backwards hat. He and Rick Dempsey did that.
Yes.
Also, Steve Yeager posed in Playgirl, as we found out when we talked to Brad Belucci.
Nice.
And was just a nice guy. He was a World Series MVP. We should just mention that because I don't know if you've noticed, but we had one on today.
Yes. You have to guess who it was, though.
Yes. Steve Yeager was the World Series MVP in 1981 when the Dodgers beat the Yankees. We've got a lot of Yankee stuff going on.
Yeah.
No value from Beckett, though, and no extra value going on. I got a checklist card, which is never a good thing. Next, this guy.
Bonus.
This guy played quite a bit. Good utility infielder, Wayne Tollison, here with the Texas Rangers.
Yeah, I remember him mostly with the Rangers. He could play pretty much anywhere.
I remember him mainly from the Yankees, again, because a lot of these guys were on the Yankees in the mid-'80s when Ricky was. So, therefore, right. I remember him. Father of Steve Tollison, who's just recently been in the big leagues. He came up with Oakland and then Baltimore and Toronto. Wayne came up with Texas, and he also played 5 years with the Yankees. So he was around for 11 years. That's a good career, good utility infielder.
Nice.
He was traded by the White Sox with Ron Kittle and Joel Skinner to the Yankees for Ron Hassey and a couple of other guys. Names that are familiar to me. No value in Beckett. He's got glasses, those science teacher glasses, and he's got a mustache. So that's going to get me 2 cents. These are some wide striped pants that the Rangers were wearing at this point. That's like marching band-esque. Those are some wide ones, but that'll get me 2 cents. Next card. This is always weird to see. Catcher outfielder for the Milwaukee Brewers, Charlie Moore.
Catcher outfielder.
Yeah.
That's a rarity. I've seen it happen.
Well, I think we've seen his card before because I know we've commented on a catcher outfielder combo before. And I'm just wondering if it was Charlie Moore. Let's see. He played 15 years, 14 of which were with the Brewers. Wow. And let me just look here. Catcher, left field, right field. Catcher, left field. He truly was an outfielder. He played in all three outfield positions as well as a catcher.
Wow. Okay.
That's pretty valuable.
He played center field?
Yeah, he played center field.
Catcher, center fielder. Don't know if I've seen too many of those.
Yeah, that's pretty valuable because, technically, he doesn't have to be your backup catcher. You can have two catchers, and this guy can play a couple of different positions. No value though in Beckett, but he's got a good mustache. Not a 2-center, but he's got a mustache. So that'll get me 1 cent. I'm up to 5 cents. Next outfielder for the Mets. I seem to believe this guy was a highly rated prospect that never panned out. John Christensen.
I don't know, man. I doesn't sound familiar.
I, for some reason, want to say that he was thought of rather highly. He only played for 4 years. He was a Mariner in 87, but never hit higher than 273 and did not do much. Not he was traded for with Calvin Schiraldi at one point for Bob Ojeda. Yeah, and was traded for Dave Henderson and Spike Owen when he was sent to the Mariners.
Oh, wow.
So they must have thought
that's how the Mariners lost Spike, huh?
They must have thought something of him to give up those guys.
Man, I guess so.
No value in Beckett, and he's got a mustache though, and real stirrups. So I'm still quite a ways off, only 7 cents. Next, we've got pitcher. We've talked about this guy many times. It is Teddy Higuera, pitcher for the Brew Crew.
Absolutely, Teddy Higuera, however you want to say it. Good pitcher.
So this is his rookie card. That's promising. Ooh. He's got some real stirrups on. Teddy Higuera rookie card at this point was going for 15 cents.
Normally, that would be an awesome score.
Yeah. So with those real stirrups, that'll give me 16 cents on this card, and that'll bring me up to 23 cents. Full name, Teodoro Valenzuela Higuera. So,
wow. Okay.
Kind of fun to say. Next, I'm going to guess this card's not going to be worth anything in Beckett, but he's got a 2-cent mustache. Pitcher for the Rangers, Chris Welsh.
Chris Welsh, yeah. I remember him only for his 2-cent mustache.
Well, and I'm tempted to give myself a 3rd cent because he's got another mustache-looking bunch of hair coming out of his collar as well. He remember, you know that famous picture of Burt Reynolds where he's shirtless and just like he's wearing a fur sweater?
Yes.
This, I believe Chris Welsh is in that boat, but I'm just going to get 2 cents for the mustache. I can't, the chest mustache we're not giving cents out for. All right, pitcher.
Chestache?
The chestache. Next, we've got pitcher for Atlanta. We've talked about him before because he was just a member of some awful rotations for the mid-'80s Braves. Rick Mahler. Mahler?
Oh, Rick Junk Mahler.
Mahler. I'll get it right eventually.
Yes. Yeah, not a bad pitcher, but like you said, he was not on the best of teams for many years.
Let's see. He was... how long did he spend in Atlanta? He spent 11 years on that Braves pitching staff. Led the league in losses in 1986.
Ouch.
As well as hits surrendered and earned runs given up. He led the league in hits surrendered 4 out of 5 years in the mid-'80s.
Wow. Wow.
But I mean, we've covered it. Those were not good Braves teams.
Oh, no. He had no defense backing him, and he had so many losses because that's all he did right then is lose.
Yeah, his brother was also on some of those Braves teams. Mickey Mantle.
Really? I don't recall that.
Spent 8 years in the big leagues, 3 of which were with Atlanta. Huh. No value in Beckett, and he's got a mustache, and I can just see a sliver of real stirrups. So that'll get me 2 cents. I'm up to 27. This is not a Hall of Famer, unfortunately, but it might get me some money. I don't think it's going to get me Ricky Henderson money. It is first baseman, ex-boyfriend of Elaine Bennis. He of the Second Spitter fame. Also a member of the, got caught up in the Pittsburgh drug trials. One of the best defensive first basemen, really, I think, of the 80s and 90s, Keith Hernandez.
Keith Hernandez, an old buddy of mine.
Yes, I think we've shared our run-ins. I think yours was kind of edited.
I've never told the Keith Hernandez story on the show. Maybe someday.
Yeah, we'll have to get a Patreon going so people can hear the After Dark stories. I think I told mine, though, because I just briefly again, Mets were playing the Mariners. We were eating in the media dining. I was talking about Keith Hernandez's book, which I believe was called When on First or Who's on First, one of the two. And it was a ghost-written diary of the 86 season. And I really enjoyed it. It was one of the first baseball books I read where kind of like, Ball 4, where it gives you insight to major league players. And I said within a rather loud voice, and then I found out Keith Hernandez didn't even write it. It was ghost-written. And everybody kind of gave me the side eye, and I turned around, and my back was... Keith Hernandez was sitting right behind me in the table next. So
it was a piece of a sitcom is what it was, right there.
Yeah, it was good. So that's an 8-cent card only 8 cents, but he's got that mustache. So that'll get me 9 cents, bring me up to 36 cents. Next, infielder for the Chicago White Sox, Luis Salazar.
Luis Salazar, absolutely. He's another, was he like a second baseman shortstop kind of guy?
Yeah, he was a utility infielder. Let's see.
I remember him.
What Luis Salazar, good career, 13 years in the big leagues. Played main position was third base, but he played all three outfield positions. Boy, I mean, yeah, he's a Swiss Army knife. In 1988, he played every position except for pitcher.
Wow.
So that's
not bad.
Yeah, that's not bad work if you can get it. He was traded for a lot of guys. He traded for Ozzie Guillen. Yeah, he was traded for Ozzie Guillen. That's how the White Sox got Ozzie Guillen. He was included in a trade with Luis Salazar. But no money in Beckett. No, well, he's got one of those 430. Well, I'm going to give it to me because he's clean shaven in the beard section, but he's got a little wispy mustache. And frankly, I'm not going to catch you. So, all right, so that's 37 cents. Next, Alejandro Sanchez, outfielder for the Tigers. This is a good-looking card. He has got He's got a large cranium. That's the only way to put it. And it takes up...
That's a huge noggin.
Yes, it takes up the whole picture. No value from Beckett, but he's got a nice mustache that'll get me 1 cent. Next, I have got... I want to say this guy had a good career. And I think it's somebody that I don't know a whole lot about. And I think he had some good numbers. Gary Maddox, here, outfielder with the Phillies.
Yeah, I remember him.
Came in 5th in the MVP voting in 1976. He was a rookie in 72. So yeah, this is long before I was watching baseball. 86 was his final year. He only appeared in 6 games. He played 15 years in the big leagues. And now I know how I remember Gary Maddox. His nickname is the Secretary of Defense.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Secretary of Defense.
Let's see. Let's see how many Gold Gloves. How many fingers do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 Gold Gloves consecutively between the years 1975 and 1982. He won the Gold Glove every single year.
Wow,
as a center fielder.
That's really amazing.
That's how I knew he was a good player, and that's where I remember that. A member of the 1980 World Series Phillies team and 8 Gold Gloves consecutively. So that's darn impressive. So he's got a beard and a mustache, which is good. The card in Beckett is not worth anything, but he has got this is interesting. I'm going to ask for a ruling here. He's got a McDonald's sweatband on. He's wearing the golden arches on his sweatband. Now, that is neither a caricature nor his jersey number, but it's McDonald's. What do you think? Can you throw a cent my way?
I think it's fair enough. I mean, because it's going to be an extreme rarity. Absolutely.
I am going to have to do some research and find out why in the world is he wearing a McDonald's sweatband? Maybe they were a giveaway at the stadium that day and he thought he'd wear them. Maybe he was pushing McDonald's there locally. I don't know. I'm going to look that up. See if I can find any. Crazy. Okay, next I got 2 cards left. Second baseman for Cleveland, Tony Bernazard. I can never say his name.
I remember Tony Bernazard got traded for my friend Brian Dorsett.
Brian Dorsett sure comes up a lot. We need to get him on the horn.
Yeah, I know. That's a good call.
Let's see. Tony Bernazard played for 10 years. 1 year in Oakland, 1 year in Seattle. Cleveland, Chicago were his main calls of port. He was also traded for Julio Cruz, your buddy.
Oh, wow.
Also traded for Gorman Thomas and Jack Perconte. I don't know why I thought I knew that name. And then traded for Darryl Ackerfelts and Brian Dorsett.
There you go.
So he was traded for some guys that we've definitely talked about. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
No value from Beckett's. He's got a good mustache. He's got a good smile here, too. He's happy to be having his picture taken. But that'll only get me 1 cent. I'm up to 41 cents. And my final card, I only trail by $1 exactly. So this is all of my hopes and dreams are riding on pitcher for the Mets, Ed Lynch.
Oh, yes.
You think nice. You think Ed Lynch is going to pull it out?
Yeah, I think that's for sure a $10 card.
Well, it's a 1 cent card because he's got real stirrups.
Give or take $10.
Yeah, that was a disappointment. That just hurts that you pulled a Ricky and that he alone defeated me and that I stole the pack. Yeah. It's just that's
just
karma.
Remember, it wasn't my fault. It was not my doing.
Yeah, that's karma. I now trail 7-3 in the standings, so I'm starting to lose ground rapidly. But congratulations.
Thanks. We need some newer cards, maybe. You know, some of these national treasures that are like $800 a box.
Yeah. If anybody wants to donate some good cards, I am going to keep this Ricky card, though. I'm just telling you right now. I'm pulling it right out.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So that's going to wrap up the show. we want to again extend our thanks to Ralph Terry. Really great getting to talk with him. We will have more with our conversation with him next week. Also, be sure to check out all the show notes. I will put the links to where you can buy his book there. You can get it on a Kindle, so you can get it instantaneously. And a lot of these stories, as well as a lot more, are in that book. So really, we're so thankful that he made time to come and talk with us, and we really, really enjoyed it. So next week, awesome. We'll have more with Ralph Terry. Make sure to check out his book, Right Down the Middle. And we would like to thank all of our listeners as usual. We really do appreciate it. And I really do appreciate all of the social media messages we've been getting. And I have to apologize. I don't check Instagram as often as I do Twitter. And we've been getting a lot of people talking to us on Instagram. So I will start to check that more often. We can be found on both Twitter and Instagram at 2StrikeNoise. That is at TWO Strike Noise. We also post things throughout the week having to do with baseball history and all that good kind of stuff. So Mark, they can also send us an electronic email. Do you want to tell them where they can send that?
Sure. Our electronic mail address is 2StrikeNoise. Again, spell it out, TWO. StrikeNoise@gmail.com.
An electronic email. That's like a PIN number.
That's your PIN number.
Yeah, let's file that into the Department of Redundancy Department.
There you go.
Whatever that is. You know what joke I was going for. Anyway, thank everybody. We hope you will be back next week. We'll have part 2 of our conversation with Ralph Terry. In the meantime, stay healthy, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Thank you. God bless you. Have a great day.